At Rooftop ceremony, millionaire woman weds street musician, the vows leave all in tears. The late afternoon sun cast a golden glow across the Manhattan skyline as wedding guests gathered on the rooftop terrace of the Meridian Hotel, one of New York's most exclusive venues. The space had been transformed into an elegant garden sanctuary 40 stories above the bustling city streets, with white roses and fairy lights creating an atmosphere of intimate romance despite the grandeur of the setting. Among the assembled guests, a palpable sense of curiosity and anticipation filled the air. Everyone knew they were about to witness something extraordinary and unprecedented. The bride was Sophia Reynolds, a 34-year-old self-made millionaire who had built her fortune through a series of successful tech startups that revolutionized digital marketing and e-commerce platforms. Sophia's business acumen and strategic vision had earned her recognition as one of Forbes' most influential young entrepreneurs, while her philanthropic work had established her as a respected voice in conversations about corporate social responsibility and economic inequality. For most of her adult life, Sophia had been consumed by the demanding pace of building and managing her business empire. Her days were filled with board meetings, investor presentations, and strategic planning sessions that left little time for personal relationships or emotional connection. The few romantic relationships she had attempted had been with other successful professionals who understood her ambitions but shared her limitations when it came to vulnerability and authentic intimacy. Sophia's transformation from driven businesswoman to bride marrying for love had begun 6 months earlier during one of the most stressful periods of her career. Her company was navigating a complex merger that required her constant attention and threatened to consume every aspect of her life. The pressure had reached a breaking point one evening when she found herself walking the streets of Manhattan at midnight, unable to sleep and desperate for some form of relief from the anxiety that had begun to affect her health and judgment. It was during one of these late-night walks that Sophia first encountered Marcus Chun, a 29-year-old street musician who had been performing in Washington Square Park for 3 years. Marcus played guitar and sang with a voice that combined technical skill with raw emotional honesty, drawing crowds of late-night wanderers who were seeking the same kind of authentic, human connection that had brought Sophia to the park that evening. Marcus's background was as far removed from Sophia's privileged world as possible to imagine. He had grown up in foster care after his parents died in a car accident when he was 8 years old, moving between different families and group homes throughout his childhood and adolescence. Music had been his constant companion and source of solace, the one thing that remained stable as he navigated the uncertainty and emotional challenges of the foster care system, despite never having access to formal musical training or expensive instruments. Marcus had developed extraordinary talent through years of dedicated practice and intuitive understanding of melody and rhythm. His performances on the street were more than entertainment. They were expressions of his life experiences. His hopes and struggles translated into songs that resonated with anyone who had faced their own battles with loneliness, disappointment, or the search for belonging. When Sophia stopped to listen to Marcus perform that first night, she was struck not just by his musical ability, but by the authenticity and vulnerability in his performance. Here was someone who had clearly experienced hardship, but had transformed that pain into something beautiful and meaningful. His music spoke to parts of her own experience that she had never acknowledged: the isolation that came with success, the pressure to maintain a facade of strength and control, and the longing for genuine human connection that no amount of professional achievement could satisfy. Sophia's initial conversations with Marcus were brief and cautious. She was accustomed to people treating her differently once they learned about her wealth and business success, and she was reluctant to reveal too much about herself to someone who might see her as an opportunity rather than a person. Marcus, meanwhile, was naturally wary of well-dressed strangers who showed interest in his music, having learned to distinguish between genuine appreciation and the condescending curiosity of wealthy people, who viewed street performers as interesting diversions. However, their shared late-night presence in the park created opportunities for conversations that gradually became more personal and meaningful. Sophia found herself returning to Washington Square Park several times each week, initially telling herself that Marcus's music helped her relax and think more clearly about business challenges. Over time, she began to admit that what drew her back was not just the music, but Marcus himself, his perspective on life, his resilience in the face of obstacles, and his ability to find joy and meaning in simple experiences. Marcus was equally drawn to Sophia, though he remained unaware of her business success and wealth for several weeks. What attracted him was her intelligence, her genuine interest in his music and experiences, and her willingness to listen without judgment to stories about his unconventional life path. She seemed to understand the loneliness and search for purpose that motivated his late-night performances, and her presence provided him with the kind of intellectual and emotional connection he had rarely experienced. The relationship that developed between Sophia and Marcus challenged both of them to examine their assumptions about love, compatibility, and what they truly wanted from life. For Sophia, Marcus represented authenticity and emotional depth that had been missing from her relationships with other successful professionals. His music and perspective helped her reconnect with aspects of herself that had been suppressed. During her relentless pursuit of business success, creativity, vulnerability, and a capacity for wonder and joy. For Marcus, Sophia's friendship offered intellectual stimulation and emotional support that helped him envision possibilities for his future beyond survival and day-to-day existence. Her belief in his talent and potential encouraged him to think more seriously about his music as a career rather than just a means of getting by. More importantly, her genuine care and respect for him as a person provided him with the kind of stable, loving relationship he had never experienced during his years in foster care. The revelation of Sophia's wealth and business success came gradually as Marcus began to notice inconsistencies between her claimed background and her actual knowledge, resources, and social connections. When she finally shared the truth about her professional life and financial situation, Marcus's initial reaction was shock and concern that their relationship had been based on deception. However, his understanding of why she had been cautious about revealing her identity, combined with his recognition that her feelings for him were genuine, ultimately strengthened rather than damaged their connection. Sophia's decision to marry Marcus represented more than a romantic choice. It was a fundamental shift in her priorities and values that surprised everyone who knew her. Her family and business associates were initially skeptical and concerned, viewing her relationship with Marcus as a phase or rebellion rather than a serious commitment. However, their interactions with Marcus gradually convinced most of them that Sophia's choice was based on genuine love and compatibility rather than impulsive attraction to someone different from her usual social circle. The wedding planning process became an exercise in bridging two very different worlds and creating a celebration that honored both Sophia's business success and Marcus's artistic sensibilities. The Rooftop venue represented Sophia's achievement and status, while the intimate scale and personal touches reflected Marcus's preference for authentic, meaningful experiences over elaborate displays of wealth. The guest list itself told the story of their unlikely romance. Sophia's side included business partners, investors, and family members who represented the corporate and social elite of New York City. Marcus's guests were fellow street performers, social workers who had supported him during his foster care years, and friends from the artistic community who had become his chosen family. The mix of backgrounds and perspectives created an atmosphere of curiosity and mutual discovery that reflected the couple's own journey of learning to understand and appreciate each other's worlds. As the ceremony began, with Manhattan's skyline providing a dramatic backdrop, The assembled guests could sense that they were about to witness something that would challenge their assumptions about love, success, and what truly mattered in life. The bride and groom's journey to this moment had been unconventional and unexpected, but the depth of their connection and commitment was evident to everyone present. Marcus had spent the morning of the wedding performing one last time in Washington Square Park, the place where their love story had begun. His music that day was infused with joy and gratitude that moved the regular park visitors who had followed his relationship with Sophia from its earliest stages. When he finished his final song as a single man, the crowd's applause was filled with affection and best wishes for the happiness he had found. Sophia had begun her wedding day with a board meeting that concluded a business deal she had been negotiating for months, demonstrating her continued commitment to her professional responsibilities, even as she prepared to embark on a new chapter of her personal life. However, as she prepared for the ceremony, her focus shifted entirely to the man who had taught her that success without love was ultimately meaningless, and that authenticity and connection were more valuable than any business achievement. As the moment arrived for them to exchange vows, both Sophia and Marcus knew that their words would need to bridge the gap between their different backgrounds while expressing the profound love and commitment that had brought them to this rooftop ceremony. Their vows would tell the story of how two people from completely different worlds had found in each other exactly what they had been searching for, even when they hadn't known what that search might reveal. As the sun began its descent toward the horizon, casting the Manhattan skyline in shades of gold and amber, Sophia and Marcus stood facing each other beneath an arch of white roses and baby's breath. The gentle evening breeze carried the distant sounds of the city below, creating a soundtrack that seemed to honor Marcus's street musician background while acknowledging the heights, both literal and metaphorical, that their love had reached. Officiant, a progressive minister who had counseled the couple through their engagement, invited them to share the vows they had written for each other. The assembled guests fell into complete silence, sensing that they were about to hear something extraordinary that would capture the essence of this unlikely but powerful love story. Sophia spoke first, her voice steady but filled with emotion as she looked into Marcus's eyes. Her vows began by acknowledging the journey that had brought her to this moment, not just the path from her corporate office to this rooftop, but the internal transformation that had occurred since that first night when she had stopped to listen to his music in Washington Square Park. Sophia's words revealed how Marcus had taught her to see beyond the narrow definition of success that had driven her for years. She spoke about how his music had shown her that true achievement meant creating something that touched people's hearts and souls, not just accumulating wealth or recognition. His example had helped her understand that vulnerability was not weakness, but the foundation of authentic connection, and that the courage to be genuine with another person was more valuable than any business strategy she had ever developed. Her vows described how Marcus had helped her rediscover parts of herself that had been buried beneath years of corporate responsibility and strategic thinking. Through their late-night conversations in the park and their gradual courtship, she had reconnected with her capacity for wonder, spontaneity, and emotional depth. He had shown her that success without love was merely an elaborate form of loneliness, and that all her achievements meant nothing if she couldn't share them with someone who truly understood and valued her authentic self. Sophia promised to support Marcus's musical career and artistic growth. But more importantly, she pledged to continue learning from his example of resilience, authenticity, and the ability to find beauty and meaning in life's simplest moments. She vowed to use her resources and influence not just to advance her own interests, but to create opportunities for other talented individuals who, like Marcus, had been overlooked by traditional systems of recognition and support. The emotion in Sophia's voice became more pronounced as she spoke about how Marcus had shown her what unconditional love actually meant. Unlike her previous relationships, which had been based on mutual professional respect and shared ambitions, her connection with Marcus was rooted in acceptance of each other's complete selves. including their fears, imperfections, and dreams. That might seem unrealistic to others. Marcus's response was equally moving, though his approach to expressing his feelings reflected his background as a performer, who was accustomed to conveying deep emotions through music and poetry. His vows began with acknowledgement of how Sophia had changed, not just his circumstances but his entire understanding of what his life could become. Marcus spoke about how meeting Sophia had challenged his assumptions about wealthy, successful people and forced him to recognize that loneliness and the search for authentic connection transcended social and economic boundaries. Her willingness to see past his unconventional lifestyle and recognize his worth as a person had given him the confidence to envision a future that extended beyond day-to-day survival to include genuine happiness and meaningful relationships. His vows described how Sophia's belief in his musical talent had motivated him to take his artistry more seriously and pursue opportunities he had never thought possible. But more than her financial support or business connections, it was her emotional support and unwavering faith in his potential that had transformed his relationship with his own abilities and ambitions. Marcus promised to help Sophia maintain the balance between professional success and personal fulfillment that she had discovered through their relationship. He vowed to continue being the person who reminded her that her worth was not determined by her business achievements, but by her capacity for love, kindness, and authentic connection with others. His words became particularly powerful as he spoke about how their relationship had taught him that love was not about finding someone who shared your exact background or circumstances, but about finding someone whose heart aligned with yours in ways that transcended surface differences. He promised to support Sophia's continued success while ensuring that their marriage remained grounded in the genuine connection and mutual respect that had brought them together. The most emotional moment of the ceremony came when Marcus referenced the music that had brought them together, explaining how Sophia had taught him that the most beautiful songs were those that harmonized different melodies to create something more beautiful than either could achieve alone. Their marriage, he said, would be like a duet where their different backgrounds and experiences would combine to create a life that was richer and more meaningful than either could have imagined separately. As Marcus concluded his vows, several guests were visibly moved to tears by the authenticity and depth of emotion he had expressed. His words had captured not just his love for Sophia, but the transformative power of their relationship for both of them. The street musician who had been performing for Small Change in Washington Square Park was now speaking with eloquence and insight that revealed the intelligence and emotional sophistication that Sophia had recognized from their first conversation. The exchange of rings that followed was accompanied by a string quartet that Marcus had selected, playing a piece he had composed specifically for this moment. The music served as his final vow, a melody that expressed feelings too deep for words and demonstrated the artistic gift that had first drawn Sophia's attention and continued to enrich their relationship. As the minister pronounced them husband and wife, the assembled guests erupted in applause that seemed to acknowledge not just the conclusion of the ceremony, but the extraordinary journey that had brought this unlikely couple together. The sound of celebration mixed with the ambient noise of the city below, creating a symphony that honored both Marcus's street performance background and Sophia's success in the urban business world. The reception that followed was unlike any wedding celebration the guests had previously attended. Marcus had arranged for several of his fellow street musicians to perform, creating an atmosphere that was both elegant and authentic. Sophia's business associates found themselves engaged in conversations with artists and social workers who challenged their assumptions about success and fulfillment in ways that were both uncomfortable and enlightening. The wedding cake cutting became a moment of shared joy as Marcus serenaded Sophia with an impromptu song that captured their journey from strangers meeting in a park to partners embarking on a shared future. His performance demonstrated how their love had enhanced rather than diminished his artistry, giving his music new depth and emotional resonance. As the evening progressed, the barriers between the different social groups gradually dissolved. Sophia's investors found themselves genuinely interested in Marcus's insights about urban culture and artistic expression, while Marcus's musician friends discovered that successful business people could be thoughtful, caring individuals who faced their own challenges and insecurities. The story concluded 6 months later, with Marcus's first album release party being held in the same rooftop space where they had been married. The album, which featured songs inspired by their relationship and his experiences as a street performer, had been produced with financial support from Sophia, but showcased talent that was entirely his own. The success of the music demonstrated that their partnership had enhanced both of their individual achievements rather than requiring either to sacrifice their authentic selves. Sophia had restructured her business operations to allow more time for personal relationships and creative pursuits, discovering that this balance actually improved her professional effectiveness and satisfaction. She had also established a foundation that provided support for aging out foster care youth. Inspired by Marcus's experiences and their shared commitment to helping others overcome systemic barriers to success, their marriage had proven that love could indeed transcend social and economic boundaries when based on genuine respect, shared values, and mutual commitment to supporting each other's growth and happiness. The vows they had exchanged on that Manhattan rooftop had done more than formalize their commitment. They had articulated a vision of partnership that inspired everyone who witnessed it to reconsider their own assumptions about love, success, and what truly mattered in creating a meaningful life. The street musician and the millionaire businesswoman had created something beautiful together, demonstrating that the most powerful form of wealth was the love and understanding that two people could share when they chose to see past surface differences to recognize the authentic connection that made them perfect partners for life's greatest adventure.
Thank you for watching this story unfold with us here on M&A The Story Unfolds. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new tale. We'd love to know where you're watching. Leave a comment below and tell us what part of the world you're joining us from. Your support means everything. See you in the next story.